Hey y'all, it is a Monday. I'm starting out in the parking lot here because, as you can see, it is a drippy and dreary Monday morning. I don't know how you are waking up wherever you're at, or however your day has gone at whatever point you're watching this, but maybe it's not the day that you had hoped for. Maybe it's not the weather you had hoped for. Maybe it's not the situation that you had hoped for today. And I just want to give this gray cloud illustration to remind you as we walk into the building here that the Word of God never changes. We're going to walk from the dreary, cloudy day into the office. We're going to sit down and we're going to pull out the Word of God together, the Word of God that never changes. So let's set you down. Let's pull this out and let's celebrate that no matter what kind of weather it is, no matter what kind of health it is, no matter what kind of circumstance it is, the Word of God always proves true and it never changes. Let's get into it with that little bit of celebration before us. We've covered that one, and we've covered that one, and we've covered that one. Let's hit Romans 5:8 this morning. Romans 5:8. There it is. We are in our blue salvation section, learning about the good news. Romans 5:8, sweet and short. God shows his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. One of the first verses I ever learned as a kid, Romans 5:8. God shows his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Let's pause and pray. We live in a merit-based society. You are rewarded for what you do. You are rewarded for what you contribute. You are rewarded for what you bring to the table. It's a merit-based society. And in the human structure of things, I think that's probably a pretty good way for most of our culture to be structured. Not every relationship, but in a lot of ways, rewarding those who work hard and rewarding those who do best is probably a pretty wise way to go about things. But remember this morning that it is not a good way to run a spiritual relationship. Merit-based is not the way that you want God to relate to us. In this verse, Romans 5:8 reminds us that God does not first relate to us based on merit. He relates to us in a grace-based relationship. God shows his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. God's love is shown to us when we are least deserving. God shows his love for us when we are running in the opposite direction from God. The opposite direction of earning favor is when he chases us with his most intentional love. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. God's greatest display on planet Earth in human history, his greatest display of love was in loving us at the deepest, goriest, gruesomest, grossest place of our sin. Christ died for us, dealing with our sin. This verse is given me one of the things I try to say most often to my kids over the years. It's provided me with language of love that I wouldn't have otherwise. When I'm putting the kids to bed, I will often say, "Does Daddy love you when you're happy?" And they say yes. "Does Daddy love you when you're sad?" Yes. "Does Daddy love you when you're naughty?" And for the first few years that I would ask that, "Does Daddy love you when you're naughty?" they would say no. And I would reply, "Daddy always loves you. And then I would keep layering up the questions. Does Daddy love you when you're angry? And I'd see them struggle. I said, Daddy always loves you. Does Daddy love you when you obey? Yes. Does Daddy love you when you disobey? And I'd say, Daddy always loves you. And I work through questions, different questions, whatever would come into my head, because I wanted them to understand that love is grace-based, not merit-based. And I want to encourage you with the people in your life, if you're a Christ follower, if you claim Jesus as your own, I want to encourage you to think on being a grace-based lover. Grace-based. This verse says God loved us most when Christ died for us, when we were still sinners. The point where most people in your life are going to need the most love is when they are making some of their biggest mistakes. It's when they're being frustrating. It's when they're being dumb. They're being slow to learn the things that you would wish they would learn. And I want to remind you to wisely and considerately be grace-based lovers of people in order to reflect the great God who loves you out of his great grace. Let that set you going today. Receive grace-based love. Don't try to earn it, and give grace-based love even to those who don't earn it from you.